On Evan, thank you for coming on the Bars and Trivia podcast. How are you today?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me. I'm
Uh,
excited.
how's the weather up there? We're got snow on its way here in New York.
We had a little snow. I'm in Toronto, Canada, so we had some snow yesterday. Today looks decent, but it's coming. It's coming.
It's on
Winter's coming.
early this year, unfortunately. All right, so thank you for coming on. Like I said, me and my girlfriend, she turned me onto you, and I've been watching your content for a good while. So, for any of our listeners who have not heard of Evan Carmichael, can you tell us a little bit about your career and how you ended up where you are today? You can do it in 99 words if you like.
Sure. I struggled as an entrepreneur myself. Hated myself and my life in my first business. I eventually got through it, and I believe your purpose comes from your pain. And so now I'm dedicated to trying to help other entrepreneurs not struggle as much as I did. I do that mostly through my YouTube channel. I'm an author. I have 2 books, and also now more recently on Instagram as well. So I'm excited to be here and hopefully provide some value to your listeners.
Yeah, no doubt you will. So before we dive into the interview, we do at the end of this Bars and Trivia podcast ask what we call the final five, which are 5 trivia questions. They have been customized for you, Evan. So I
Okay.
hope you're good at trivia.
I suck at trivia, but I'm excited for these questions.
Okay.
Have you ever had an 0 for 5 on your trivia?
No, we have a
Okay.
it's a pass mock. It's not a pass fail. So you got to get at least
Oh.
3 correct. But nobody's
Oh,
come.
wow. Okay, we'll see. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll do it. Let's go.
Okay, so thank you for agreeing to this. And when you did agree, I was trying to think, what am I going to talk to you about? And I thought there's only one way to navigate our way through this interview. So I've compiled the one and only top 10 with Evan Carmichael. I
Okay.
thought it was very appropriate. So these are 10 things which have resonated with me from reading your book, of course. Awesome. Your one word, love it.
Nice.
And they're not necessarily big and sexy things, but they're things that jumped out at me, and I'd like you to talk us through them. Is that cool?
Yeah.
All right, so in no particular order, except for number one, of course, here we go. So this is the Bars and Trivia Podcast Top 10 with Evan Carmichael. So at number 10, I have Find Your Greatness. If you could talk a little bit about that.
So I believe everybody has Michael Jordan level talent at something. Most people either one haven't found it because they haven't explored enough to go off and find it, or they found it but they don't believe in themselves enough. And so I think most people end up taking some job that they hate, or they're just barely okay getting by at, where they could actually go off and be the Michael Jordan of something. And so I try to push people to find that thing that they could be great at and go all in on it.
Right. And I always thought when I was growing up, especially as a kid, and there was a bit of a gap there in my adulthood, but then when I became self-employed, it came back to me that I always had that deep down, but afraid to express it, that I've greatness in me, or that I have something to offer which would benefit other people. And I was always, I can't give you one pinpoint reason as to why it never came out, but everyone has that in them, don't you believe?
100%. I think everybody does it. I think most people don't believe that. And so that's the first step, is believing that you have something great inside you, and then figuring out, okay, what could that thing be? And then dedicating your life to pursuing it.
Okay. Number 9, I have don't live other people's version of your life. And before you talk a little bit about that, I found that the older I get, that people's opinion of me, firstly, is none of my business, and secondly, really means nothing to me. I can't let it have an effect on my life. And I think so many people, and I was guilty of this too, worried about what other people would think if I tried to start something new, if I wanted to learn a language, learn an instrument, start a business, whatever it may be. So not living other people's version of your life, if you could talk about that.
Yeah, I think everybody has an agenda for you. Your parents, your friends, your family, your kids, like everybody has an agenda for you. And if you don't understand what your agenda is for yourself, then you'll just be pulled in 1,000 different directions and never accomplish anything that you actually want to go off and accomplish. And so chances are, whatever the thing is that you have greatness in, whatever you have Michael Jordan level talent at, it's going to make some people upset, even out of love, like saying that you want to go off and do this, but your parents don't think that that's the right thing for you, or nobody in your family has ever done it. it's easy for them to pull you down and prevent you from going off and doing the thing that you actually want to do. And so the common trait of everybody who's had massive success is being able to deal with the people around them, telling them that their ideas suck, that it's never going to work, and you still get up and you go and you do it anyway.
Do you think people stand in the way of other people's success, or tell them they can't do it or they'll never be able to accomplish it because of their own lack of ambition, their lack of quote unquote success? Like, why would somebody want to stand in the way of someone else?
So I think you got two groups. I think you have the haters who either want to do it themselves, or they've tried to do something in the past themselves, and because it didn't work for them, now nobody around them can have success too. That's definitely a group. So instead of going to try again, I'm just going to pull everybody else down around me. The other group, though, is it's out of love. Like, for a lot of people, the advice that your parents are giving you is out of love. They love you. They just see success differently. They grew up in a different world. And so success to them looks one way, and you're off doing this crazy other path. And so they just care about you, and they're trying to do the best thing that they think is for you. But the worst advice you can give somebody is what you would do in a situation. That's the worst advice you can give them. Here's what I would do. Well, who cares what you would do? You're not me, right? But like, never get, like, the best advice you can give is try to understand that person and give them the answer that will help them, even if it's not the same thing that you would do.
Right.
And so I think a lot of people, that's the real trouble spot, where there's people who love you, who are trying to help you, and they think they're helping you, but they're not, because that's what they would do.
Right. And to go back to, you said the two groups, the haters and the family and friends who think it's out of concern and love. My dad always had one of many expressions. He's almost 81 now, so he's old school, and he always used to say, just keep your head above water. Just keep your head above water, which, from his generation is a survival mechanism. For me, it's like, you're very close to drowning when your head is just above water. And the other side of it, the haters, brings me to number 8, Evan. And this was something that jumped out at me from your book, was find your enemy. And listening to people like Grant Cardone, we need haters. Successful people will bring upon haters, jealousy, envy, and it's almost the level of hate or dislike you have towards what you're doing equates to the success you have or are having.
Yeah, so if you stand for something, the point of the book, Your One Word, is to figure out what your most important core value is, and that's what you stand for as a human being, and then you bring that into everything that you end up making. Mm-hmm. So by the definition, if you stand for something, then you stand against something else. Mm-hmm. And so if you can identify what the thing is that you stand against, then that allows you to have a bigger voice, that allows you to have more power, that allows you to build a bigger following and bring on more customers and build your business. Mm-hmm. And so it's that clarity. And some people will gravitate naturally to the positive message, and some people will also gravitate to, like, we don't want this in our lives anymore. We want to stop this from happening. This person or this movement or this belief system we don't want to have around anymore. Right. And so if you stand for something and you stand against something, and figuring out what you stand against can be really helpful in you building your brand.
Right. The next one, I went to Tony Robbins' Business Mastery back in January, and he interviewed the founder of Airbnb. And he spoke about Airbnb's company rituals and culture and how important it is. And he said that he was asked to speak at Zappos headquarters, and Zappos have a great company culture, but they were impressed with the Airbnb company culture and ritual. And I think if you look at companies over time, giants like McDonald's and Coca-Cola, they all have company cultures that the employees buy into and carry the message. And I think that has become more prevalent, especially in the internet age, because we're able to portray it more every day, all the time, through social media and so on. So can you talk a little bit about the importance of a company's cultures, rituals, and language?
Yeah, so rituals help reinforce the belief. So this is what we do. This is what we stand for. This is who we are. And every time you do a ritual that is unique to your environment, to your group, then it helps cement that you're doing something different. You're doing something special. So, as an example, at the dance studio that I run, the messaging is around family, around belonging. And so whenever it's somebody's birthday, we'll do a birthday dance, and we'll put that person in the middle, and then people have to dance with them around. So if it's a girl, you have all the guys go around and start dancing with her one at a time, and vice versa if it's a guy in the middle. And so that makes them feel closer and connected. It's also for anybody building up a brand, it's figuring out rituals with your customers or with your audience. So for me, for my videos, if your audience have seen my content, I'll always go believe at the end, and it's my hand matching the airplane on my shirt, and so it's the airplane taking off, and so my logo is an airplane and it's flying, and so continue to believe as I say that. That's part of my ritual with my fans, and then people will take pictures of them doing the believe, and whenever I do selfies with people, they'll be doing the believe, and so figuring out what rituals and gestures and language that means something to you. You don't have to follow along the same format that every other company does. How are you going to name the roles in your business? Is somebody just going to be a customer service rep, or can you come up with something more creative that helps define their role a little bit better? Basically, when you figure out what your one word is, so for me it's believe, but for people listening or watching, they'll find their own. Then it's how do I make that happen throughout everything that I do, including my company. And so how do I make the people on my team feel believe on a regular basis? And part of that could be the rituals and activities that you do together regularly.
Excellent. Awesome. Next one I have is, and this is one of the best things I did when I finally stumbled across it. I was a little apprehensive, because you know everything at some point until you realize you don't know everything, and someone has to kind of guide you along, and that is get a mentor or an advisor. And there's an organization, I don't know if they're in Canada, but in the US, called SCORE, and they offer free mentorship to entrepreneurs, people looking to get into business and so on. And they've been a great help to me. And when I dabbled into that, I really enjoyed it. And of course, I have a Tony Robbins business coach too. So can you talk about getting a mentor and who mentors you and who you mentor and so on?
So I have an expression that goes, if you want to soar, get a mentor. And people who've gone down the path can teach you how to do it. And there's two types. They're the regular mentors that you're talking about, people who have had success, who can coach you one-on-one, whether that's Tony Robbins' guy or whether that's somebody from SCORE or a local entrepreneur or somebody who's a little ahead of you or university alumni that you can reach out to. Those are people one-on-one so you have a connection with. The second kind that I learned a lot from are what I call aspirational mentors. So, Tony Robbins, I just met him and we did a quick photo shoot on the weekend.
UPW.
This past weekend. Yeah, UPW, New Jersey. But I'm not calling him every week for advice on my business. So I consider him more of an aspirational mentor where I still learn and study from him through his videos and his content. And that pushes me forward. With people like Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and Oprah Winfrey and Bill Gates and people who you may never meet in your life, I still think you can learn a lot from them through the content that they're creating. And so it's a big role of what I do with my YouTube channel is pulling together kind of the best of the best so that I think both approaches work hand in hand. I think you going to talk to people at SCORE or hiring Tony Robbins' guys gives you access to people who might be a little ahead of you and you can learn from them. And I also want a path to learn from people who are way ahead of me, like Elon and Steve Jobs and those people. I'm not going to meet Steve Jobs to ask him a one-on-one question, but I can learn a lot from his content to help push me forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Next one about raising capital. I wrote, instead of raising capital, believe in people to help build your business. And then I have, you need debt to grow versus stay lean. I've battled with myself about, I've built my business up from scratch with my own capital, and I've yet to acquire any kind of investment. So I've battled with myself as to whether I should stay lean. So can you talk a little bit about the one versus the other?
So I think one, it depends on your personality. For me, I hate spending money till I'm making money. And so I'd rather figure out a way to make money and then invest a lot to build that path up and grow. I think if you're looking to raise money from the outside, you've got a couple options. If you're going debt, it's really just dependent on your books. And if you're too new in business, they look at your personal record. So are you willing to take on a personal loan or personally guarantee this business loan or not? If you're looking to go equity, the thing that they look for most, the easiest money to raise is expansion capital. So you've already proven that it works, and now you're ready to approach new markets, as opposed to R&D or pure startup, or I'm paying myself a salary So it really depends on where you're at. The other side about it is it becomes a full-time job just raising capital, which prevents you from actually growing and building the business. The longer you can go without raising capital, the better valuation you get and the better deals you get. But if you absolutely need it to go chase an opportunity, then you want to look at it.
Right.
I think if you're uncertain, if it's me, I'm super risk averse and I hate bringing on investors and partners into the company. So I wouldn't do that. But for you, maybe you love having a second party involved. Maybe you love having somebody to hold you accountable. Maybe you love the pressure of having to pay back this big loan every month and meet those interest payments. Like maybe that's the only way you get up and work.
Right.
It's like there's somebody beating down the door every day saying, "Hey, pay these bills." So understanding what drives you and then setting up the environment to allow for that to happen, I think is important.
Great. Next one, number 4, getting towards number 1, but number 4, this is a Tony Robbins mantra too, and you talk about it in your book, is be resourceful, be creative, imaginative, and productive.
Yeah, I think the ultimate resource is your ability to be resourceful. The line that comes to mind is from Steve Wozniak, who co-founded Apple, who said, stop thinking about all the things that you don't have and instead think about what you can do with what you do have. And I think that's an important line for any entrepreneur. It's easy to look at the million reasons why you're not going to win. There's a million reasons why you will not win. And Gary and I can sit down and brainstorm a million more reasons why you're not going to win. But there's like 8 why you will. And so all I do is focus on those 8 and be as resourceful as possible on those 8. You don't, even now, if I'm trying to build my business, I have 24 people on my team. I've had success with what I'm doing, but I don't have 1,000 people on my team. And I could sit and complain around how I don't have 1,000 people, or I can say, well, I have 24. What can I do with my 24? And that's always the mindset. Think about what you can do with what you do have, and understand that whoever your heroes are, whoever you look up to, whoever your role models are in life, whoever's had massive success, chances are they started with less than what you already have right now. Whether you're looking at Oprah or Richard Branson or whoever it is, they started with less than what you already have right now. And so if they could do it, you can too. The only difference is your willingness to be resourceful.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Next one, and this is both a business and a life one that I love this, and I've really incorporated this into my life in the last few years, is take ownership or take accountability of your problems, no matter what they are. We live in a gotcha blame society to a certain degree. I mean, you just have to look online or watch the news or whatever it may be. But once you take ownership or take accountability for anything that goes wrong, especially if you're at the top of the, you own the company, if you're at the top of the pyramid, no matter what happens, you got to take that ownership. It's easier, I believe, to fix what's wrong if you take ownership of it rather than start the blame game. Focus on the solution, if you will. So could you talk about taking ownership of your problems?
Yeah, I think it goes hand in hand with the last one about being resourceful. It's so easy to complain, and it's a default mode. It's nice to think that it's the president's fault that you're not successful, or your mom's fault, or the school system's fault, or you don't have enough money, or whatever. It's nice to think that that's the reason. And what that does is, by blaming somebody else, it puts you in an unresourceful state. It means it's not your fault, so you don't have to fix it. It's your mom's fault. Mm-hmm. It's the president's fault, right? It's their fault. So I'm going to complain and be angry about it, but I don't have to do anything about it because it's not my fault. So it's when you say, okay, this is actually my responsibility. It may not be your fault, but it's your responsibility to fix it. Right. That I can get out of this. What that does is at the start is, well, that sucks. It's because it's so nice to be able to blame somebody. Now this sucks that it's on me to go off and fix it. But then it's also the ultimate power in that you can change your circumstances. You can change your situation. You can make it better just by saying it's on me to fix it. Like there's no cavalry coming. By kicking the president out of office, it doesn't change your situation. Right. So stop waiting for something else to happen. Like you are in charge. And so for any spot in life, like you are where you are because of you. And I have a test that I call the mirror test, where you walk in the mirror, go in the bathroom or wherever you have a mirror, and ask yourself, why am I not more successful? Why have I not hit my goals? And whatever the first thing that comes back when you look in the mirror, those are the excuses that you need to bust through. Right. Because something's going to come up that's an excuse. It's a story you're holding on to. I don't have the right parents, or I don't go to the right school, or I don't know how to be charismatic, or whatever. It's always some excuse. And that's the one that you need to work on immediately to fix so you can go build that better life for yourself.
Right. And I think the solution is easier to get to, or at least quicker to get to, once you accept responsibility for the problem, regardless of whether you're to blame or not, because you can then just focus on getting to it rather than sitting and living in the problem.
100%.
Number 2 is my one word, Evan. My one word is effort.
Nice.
I believe that effort equals results. The bigger the effort you put in, the bigger the results you will get. It's just a simple, I know it's part of, Tony Robbins has that 4 potential, action, results thing that he does, but it's, I remember my dad as a kid playing a sport, you got to put more effort in and so on. With your homework, you got to put more effort in. And it's just a very simple way I look at things. Is when I saw your video about, if you ask me to come on your podcast, I'll do it. And I thought, well, why haven't I asked? Let me put the effort in and ask. You said yes, and here you are. So my one word is effort. I love it. I apply it every day, from the moment I get up to the moment I go to bed at night, no matter what I do, with my kids, with my business. So could you address effort?
Yeah, I think that's what people should be tying their self-esteem to, or their self-respect to. I think we tie our respect for ourselves to the results, but not the effort. And I think that's a foolish mark. I think if you go and you win a race against 3-year-olds, great, you won a race, but it was easy for you. And so you shouldn't be all super pumped and excited that you won that race. But if you go and you race against Usain Bolt and he destroys you, it's you had the courage to get up and put in your best effort to go run against, the fastest man in the world. And so this is where a lot of entrepreneurs fail, is because they tie their self-respect to the results, and the results don't come right away. It takes a lot of time, or it takes them messing up and failing a bunch. And so tying your respect to the effort. Like, if you can sleep at night, if you can hit the pillow at night, proud of the fact that you put in your best effort. Like, just ask yourself that question, especially if this is your one word. It's fantastic. Did I put my best effort into today? And if it's yes, then that's amazing. And that's how you start building your self-confidence. And if it's no, then you have to fix that, because it's just a negative spiral down. You respect yourself when you do the thing that is hard. When you put in the effort and it's hard, regardless of if you win or not, you did the thing that was hard. That's when you really want to clap it up and pat yourself on the back and say, wow, great job. Because if you keep doing that, if you keep doing the thing that's hard, you keep putting in your best effort, eventually you will win. Even if you're not winning yet, you will win. It's inevitable. You will win. So I love it. And I think tying your self-respect to the effort level you put in instead of the results is the game.
Right. And I tried to apply a Jordan Peterson nugget in there, which is try to be a little bit better each day than you were the previous day. Therefore, put in a little more effort, whether it's, 11 reps on a certain weight when you're working out, or an extra 15 minutes reading, whatever it may be. So thank you for addressing that. And of course, number 1 is believe. It was in no particular order until number 1. So can you talk about believe?
Yeah, so believe is my one word. I think for me, everything starts with believe. If you don't believe that you're gonna win, you won't. I think that's why a lot of people don't put in the effort. It's because they don't believe they're gonna get a result. They don't believe it's ever gonna work out. They don't believe in themselves enough, and so they end up looking for no's instead of yeses. They look for the million reasons why it's not gonna work. And it's like somebody says, okay, you should start a podcast. Oh, I don't want to start a podcast. It's not going to work because of blah, 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 blah. Even if they end up starting the podcast, as soon as they get some kind of failure, they'll go, see, I knew it wasn't going to work. It's like they lost in the beginning because they didn't believe in themselves. They didn't believe in the project. And so I think believing in yourself and believing in the work that you're doing and believing that ultimately will work out, if you can continue to put in the effort, then ultimately you're going to win. So I think it all starts with belief.
Awesome. Well, thank you for. It's such a simple but effective way to build your life and your business around just one word. It sounds very simplistic, but it's very powerful, and it's really worked for me. So I want to thank you for that. So,
well, and it's great. Just sorry to interrupt, but it applies to everything, right? Like if you know your one word is effort, then first off, you know the kind of people that you need to hire. Like if somebody's not putting in effort and they're around you, it's going to be destructive for you. It's going to be toxic. You can't be around people who aren't putting in effort. They don't always have to be the most skilled. You know, they can get more skills with time, but they have to be putting in effort. And then same thing for you. If you want to improve any area, you want a better relationship with your wife, more effort. You want a better relationship with your kids, more effort, right? Like it's any area of your life or business that you want to improve, it's just applying more effort.
Right.
And that kind of clarity makes it so easy to then make decisions where someone else who has a different word, then they have to do a different path. And so that's the point of it. When you have that self-awareness, it just makes every decision in your life so much easier.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you for that. Okay. Are you ready for the final
This is
five?
The 5 trivia questions. I'm ready.
This is it. These have been catered and customed for
me.
you.
I love it.
The Bars and Trivia podcast is now going to ask Evan Carmichael the final 5. So here we go, Evan. You ready?
Let's go. I'm ready.
Number 1. Which one of your favorite entrepreneurs said the following?
Ooh. Okay.
Be thankful for what you have. You'll end up having more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you will never, ever have enough.
I have no idea.
Do you want some? Do you want multi-choice?
Do I get A, B? A, B? Okay.
I'll give you multi-choice. Okay, I'll say the quote
okay.
again, and then I'll give you the multi-choice. Which one of your favorite entrepreneurs said the following? Be thankful for what you have. You'll end up having more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you'll never, ever have enough. Was it?
Yeah.
Bill Gates, Steve
No.
Jobs,
No.
or Oprah?
Oprah.
Okay, very good. 1-0.
All right.
You're already ahead of the game. So remember, this is pass mock, Evan. We don't pass fail. You either pass or we mock you. That's how we roll here in New York.
Mark?
Mock, like scorn, slag.
Oh, Mark. Oh, mock. Okay.
Mock.
I'll take it. One of those rules was don't listen to haters, so whatever.
Okay.
I think it was number 8.
Right.
Gary.
Okay, question number 2. You got to get this.
Okay.
In what year were the Toronto Blue Jays founded?
Founded? 77?
Correct. 2-0.
Yeah, there we go.
Now I'm rooting against you.
Wasn't expecting the sports trivia to come out. Okay.
Okay.
That's tight.
Number 3. Which of the following people was not born in Toronto?
Okay.
Drake,
No.
Howie Mandel, or Wayne Gretzky?
Oh, Drake is Toronto. Wayne Gretzky or Howard Mandel? I think they're both. Well, Gretzky's Canadian. I'm pretty sure Mandel is Canadian. But where were they born? I'm gonna go Gretzky.
3-0.
Yeah, baby. Where was he born?
I don't know, but not Toronto.
Okay, whatever. It's fine. I'll look it up.
You fibbed when you said you weren't good at trivia. You're 3-0. All right.
I'm not. You know what? I know very little about like 5 things, which I know. I know nothing about the world, and I know like a lot about 5 things.
Right.
What I meant to say.
Right.
So you're picking on some things.
Right. So people say that to me. I'm no good at trivia. I'm go. Everybody knows a little something about a little something.
Your first one doesn't really. I'm not counting that first one. That was a freebie.
Because I gave you the multi-choice.
Yeah, well, it's Oprah and Steve Jobs and Wozniak.
Okay.
I was thinking Oprah though. Like I had it in the back of my head. But
right.
anyway.
Okay. So you
Next.
passed. You could relax. Number 4. Who featured in your very first espresso video on New Year's Day this year, which you called Choose Positivity?
Ooh.
And I'm not giving you multi-choice because you've already passed.
I have no idea for the date. Choose Positivity.
Very first video of the year. Stop looking it up.
No, I'm not looking it up. No, I don't cheat. No, that would destroy me. No. I would rather get it wrong than cheat.
Big main player. Everyone knows him in the social media.
I'm thinking Eric Thomas. Is that it? Am I close?
Gary V.
Gary V is Choose Positivity. Okay.
Gary V. All right. 3-1. You're still good.
Okay.
Last
Gary.
question. Last question. This is
That makes sense. That makes sense. I should have got that one. Anyway, okay, yeah.
Okay. Number 5. Which volume number for Grant Cardone's Top 10 Rules for Success did you release last week? Which volume number for Grant Cardone's Top 10 Rules for Success did you release last week?
It's 11 or 12. I'll go 11.
Correct.
Yeah.
4-1. Well done. Gary V is coming after you.
Sorry, Gary. It's his birthday anyway, so.
That's right. All right, Evan, tell our listeners what's next for you. What do you got going on? I know there's a tour coming up, so if you could address that, that would be great.
I got 2 books dropping December 6th. One is on confidence, and one is a journal that is in support of the videos. It's a journal to take notes on. And then I have my tour, which I'm hitting 23 cities over 90 days in the U.S. We're not hitting New York.
Why not?
Because I started this as I want to take my wife to every city with 1 million plus people in North America, surrounding area, kind of like metro area. And we have both been to New York, so New York's not on the list.
Anywhere close to New York?
The closest would probably be Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Pittsburgh.
It's only 7 hours away. It's all right.
Yeah, it's not. Well, it's not. We're going to San Diego too, but Pittsburgh is probably the closest. Pittsburgh or
Connecticut,
Columbus,
anywhere?
Cincinnati. Nah, I think those are further.
Okay. Boston?
We did Boston.
Okay.
No, we're not doing Boston.
Okay.
No, Pittsburgh or Cleveland? No, Pittsburgh's closer to New York than Cleveland.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think U.S. geography. I'm not great at U.S. geography, but
Anywhere in Jersey, Delaware, D.C.?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
All right.
Pittsburgh.
No so tell people how they can find Evan Carmichael, short of just Googling Evan Carmichael or typing your name in on YouTube.
Well, if you want the one-word book, Amazon's the easiest place to go. If you want my content, YouTube is my biggest home, but then Instagram, Twitter is where I'm responding more personal with videos. So wherever you hang out, I'm probably there.
Awesome. Evan, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on the Bars and Trivia podcast. Anybody listening, you want to buy Evan's book, go on to Amazon. It's called Your One Word. He also has a book called The Top 10 Rules for Success. You heard him drill through 10 just now, which you can apply to your business or your life. Evan, thank you so much. Wish you all the best. Much gratitude from New York, and believe.
Appreciate it, man. #effort. There it is.